let's talk about the different approaches that enterprises can take when moving into the cloud. So what are the steps to ensure, project success, leveraging existing expertise, minimize, learning curves, and migrating with the least impact. So lots to cover there. And Vladimir, why don't you start this one?
Right. Well, migration is sort of like a huge project especially for those larger companies and established enterprises. So, they don't go into the project as a boil the ocean type of approach. They try to do a take a staged approach, and to begin with. Probably a proof of concept of some sort. So what we try to do is try to define like a framework around the migration, so we can ask right question, and some customers, they come more prepared than than other. So, but initially, what we try to understand is what are the main motivators to migrate into the cloud, and some of those could be performance, cost, trying to limit footprint of some expensive products and licenses, as well as unpredictability of the load and the volume, and how the volume will grow. So to understand the motivator is very important, as it will help to shape the project and build success criteria around it. We also try to understand and build around what are the measurable migration goals. And usually we are asked about performance to make sure that new infrastructure, cloud-based infrastructure, will perform as well as in-house, but also ability to, because especially around data warehouses, some significant investments that being done in terms of licenses for data processing, ETL, as well as business intelligence layer. So we try to understand what those investments are and what tools are being used in terms of BI or in terms of ETL, and try to see how those tools and how those expertise can be applied, as well as the usability and functionality. In some cases, especially when you move from what is standard sort of like size for data warehouse into unpredictable big data world, some changes might be required in terms of the modeling. So we try to understand what are those and what are the requirements are. Obviously, data transformation is a huge part of any data warehouse, and how data is being ingested, how it's being transformed, how it is loaded into data warehouse. So we need to understand those tools and processes, and how those can be linked or mapped into a new cloud-based infrastructure, as well as reporting and analytics and BI tool. Again, quite a bit of investments have been done into those areas, and to make sure that those tools and people who has experience and trained for them will be able to work with a new architecture. And also what comes, and we can probably dig a little bit deeper into those, then there could be some special requirements in terms of expertise that have to be developed before that move to the cloud happens, and what becomes important areas of expertise for the organization.
This is Chad from Google speaking. This is a place where Google really relies on partners like Pythian. Google provides world-class infrastructure and but it's Pythian and our system integrator partners that provide guidance, mentoring, and execution for customers who are looking to do a data migration and feel like they need some help. We do actually have customers. We were talking Vladimir was talking a little bit about how migration is not just a lift and shift operation, but to really benefit from the technology, you might have to take advantage of some of, you might want to flatten your tables a little bit, as we were talking about earlier. And the best practices on that are part of the value that folks like Vladimir are marvelously qualified to offer to customers. We have had customers, I do want to point out, we have had customers where it's possible to simply do a lift and shift, and you take a star schema and put it in BigQuery. And customers have adopted this staged approach where they say, what, we're simply going to lift and shift what we've got, and then we'll optimize the performance by flattening or whatever else, kind of on the back end, or on the back end of the effort. The other point I want to make clear here is that from a product management standpoint and from a product design standpoint, we see BigQuery operating in concert with other data warehouse providers and even other cloud data warehouse providers. So we view BigQuery operating in a hybrid architecture. I've heard other terms where it's a bimodal architecture or multimodal architecture, etc. But we definitely view BigQuery being operating in concert with other providers, even our competitors, because folks may decide after they go through the Pythian methodology for designing how they're going to do their migration, folks might decide that they want to move some portion of their workload but not all of it, or they want to try out a couple different cloud providers and see who does better at what. So I really like the strategy that Vladimir was talking about staged development and staged rollout, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody listening to the webinar knows that we're actively designing BigQuery to work in those hybrid architecture environments.